It's amazing, isn't it? After things have stayed the same for quite some time, and everybody just seems to be quite happily chugging along, some big changes occur. And that's what's happened in the resale world, or the reselling world, over the past week or so. There's been some monumental announcements and changes that have come across. This is the second video I've done about this. The first video is in the description below, but I feel as though a second video is needed now, because basically eBay have reacted. At the end of the last video that I did, talking about how eBay have basically taken away fees for private sellers, I said that the next 12 months is going to be interesting. Really, it's much less than 12 months. It's more like 12 hours, or maybe 12 days. My name's James Smith, and I run channel JR74. And this morning, please like, comment, subscribe to your heart's content. And this morning, a very interesting message came into my eBay inbox. I didn't actually realize it was there. I didn't check it this morning. It was only when I got home from work and I checked out a bit of YouTube to do with reselling that I actually saw that this has happened. So then I checked my messages on my eBay, and yeah, sure enough, there it was. For businesses, for business sellers, eBay have just announced that business sellers can join a scheme where up until Christmas, or just after Christmas, you don't have to pay any fees, any insertion fees or any final value fees. Now, to business sellers, this is big. This is, especially in the run up to Christmas, this is a big announcement from eBay that I should think will be welcomed by many business sellers. And it's certainly made the whole thing about reselling, looking at the market that currently exists for reselling, extremely interesting. And many people are analysing what they think has happened, why it's happened, and what they think the future will be. And that includes me. I'm going to give my little input now into what I think is, or what are the reasons behind what has happened, and also where I see the next 12 months going. Please watch on. I suppose what we're seeing at the moment, it's like a heavyweight boxing match. There's a clear favourite, and the clear favourite is eBay. But the challenger, Vinted, has come in with a couple of good shots and has had some good victories on their resume recently, and the two have come to meet. Round one, they're basically dancing around each other, just sizing each other up. Okay, typical first round. Nobody's really making that much of a commitment. But then in round two, eBay is putting out a few range-finding jabs. Okay, just getting the jab, just checking the distance out. Okay, and I would say that that is the announcement of private sellers not having to pay any fees. Okay, as they're putting the jabs out, Vinted see their opportunity and come in with a really good clean shot. That is the launch of Vinted Pro. eBay stagger across the ring. Okay, they've got to react to this really, really good, well-timed and maximum publicity shot that Vinted have just put across to them. But then eBay do regather themselves and have come up with a bit of a haymaker that has connected at the end of round two, and Vinted are left sprawling back across the ring. And then the bell goes. Vinted saved by the bell, so that everybody can just go back to their corners now and just assess what has just happened in the last two rounds. In essence, that's where I think we are at the moment. Okay, there's still a long way to go in this, but it is so interesting. It's got everybody's interest. Everybody's having a look or trying to make comments on what has actually happened. Okay, what we've just seen and how this is going to shape the future of reselling. There, I thought that was quite a good analogy, actually, putting it into a boxing match. Round three, ding, ding. So what is it that I actually said in my last video? As I said, it's in the link below, but in a nutshell, what I said was this. eBay started off as essentially private sellers. okay, not business sellers. But eBay started off basically the world's biggest car boot. People go around their homes finding things to sell, putting them online and matching a price with somebody who wants it. Okay, that was eBay's breadbasket. Okay, I was talking about the breadbasket of eBay. That is what produced all the fees for eBay. Okay, then as the website evolved and as the internet evolved and as society evolved and people actually saw that this eBay thing was actually something that could be developed into not just selling a few things on the side, but actually developed into a business, eBay reacted to this and created business accounts as well as private accounts. And the breadbasket began to move towards the business accounts. More and more people were taking on the business accounts and the things that eBay were offering to run the business account. And I would say as well that they were giving better perks for high volume of sales, and they were making more money from the business accounts than what they were from the private accounts. So we've got a shift, okay? And Vinted saw this shift. They saw that this bit here had been left, okay? Because in essence, Vinted is basically you go around your house finding stuff, clothes that you don't want, or other things now that you don't want, electronics as well, small electronics, and putting them online. So, you know, eBay saw the opportunity and the gap, Vinted saw the opportunity and the gap that eBay had left, okay? Now, what I was saying was that eBay were looking at this gap now and wanting to go back to it, trying to move the basket back a little bit. But I was saying that cannot be done overnight, okay? Because then you might break the basket. You don't want that to happen. So I did feel, I mean, I'm a business seller myself. Yes, I run, this is run as a side hustle to my main job, okay? But yeah, I did feel that the business sellers, ignored isn't the word. I would say some would feel aggrieved. Some would feel a little bit, well, hold on, what's going on? Okay, and start to look at what Vinted had to offer and other sites as well. They might have felt that they were being, ignored a little bit. Maybe ignored is the right word to use. Difficult one. I don't want to come across as somebody who is saying that business sellers feel outraged by this, but from looking at a few YouTube videos, it was quite there's a lot of fees. There's a high amount of fees paid by business sellers, and for them to feel a little bit aggrieved, you could understand why. Yeah, interesting. That breadbasket, you know, whereabouts does eBay want it to be? Where is the main thing or the main cash cow that eBay actually has? Are they now actually trying to make the basket bigger? I think they are. Now, the comments in the reaction to this video were really, really interesting. And thank you so much for the comments. It was quite enjoyable actually reading them. Basically, the strong sense was by the people that were commenting was that they wanted to sell stuff on eBay, but were put off by the fees. So they welcomed the fact that private sellers could now put things on without any fees. You know, this is something that people would do and people would use to maybe start up their own little side hustle. Many people have business interests and think about starting a business and maybe see something on the telly and thinking to themselves, you know what, I can do that. I can get involved with a little bit of buying and selling. eBay, let's have a look at that. Okay, I think eBay is so dominant in the market that is how people think. But people are also starting to think about Vinted as well. It's not just eBay that's in their mind. Vinted are now at a stage through all of the advertising that they've done recently and the way that they have run their website or run their service or their platform, and it has been run very well. to such a level now where people are actually taking them seriously. And that has caused a reaction from eBay. As I said in my last video, eBay were in a position where they had to do something. And that's sort of like the range finding jabs that I was talking about. I think though, looking at this, in terms of what eBay want from it all, is eBay want to increase the amount of accounts that actually exist. The amount, I don't really think they're that bothered about whether they're private accounts or business accounts. They just want to increase the amount of accounts. Their argument is that if they increase the amount of private seller accounts, that will then generate more interest to the site in general, and people will look at products on the site and not really take that much into account as to whether they are private accounts or business accounts. If the product is there and it's a product they want and they can actually put the right price in for that product, the buyer will be interested. Now, the whole point of the private accounts was that eBay were not going to pay them weekly or monthly. They were going to hold the money in an account. Now, you can access that. You can make a request for that money at any time. This is for the private seller's mind, okay? You can make a request for that money at any time, okay? But on a 3-month cycle, that money is then going to be paid into your account. So eBay pay you once every 3 months. What that does, say if you sell maybe 10 things a month from around the house for like £5 each, okay? So after 1 month, if you sell 10 things, that's 50 quid, 2 months, £100, 3 months, 150. So you then got 150 quid in your account, and you might actually be thinking, hang on, what's on there? What else can I get? Okay, do you know what? I think I need something like this. Need a new pair of shoes, need a new shirt or something like that. Need a new hard drive for the computer, because let's face it, eBay sells everything. And then they would use some of that money that's been accumulated to actually buy it. So eBay's argument was that this is actually helping everybody. But I think the reaction that they saw was, especially from the business sellers, was no, you're giving the private sellers far too much, far too much. You never give us anything. And so I think now this is the reaction to that. It'll be interesting. Of course, I'm not in the eBay boardroom. I don't know. Was this always planned by eBay? Were they always planning to do the private seller announcement first, followed a week later by the business seller announcement, like they have done? Or was it, we'll do the private seller, okay? They saw the reaction of the business sellers. They've come together and they've said, maybe we need to do something for the business sellers, and have made the announcement that they have made. I purely think it is a reaction, and I think my thoughts of eBay, just basically the whole sole objective is to grow the amount of accounts. What they don't want to happen is for the business accounts to start to go to Vinted, okay? And considering what Vinted have just announced, I think they feel that they had to react and use their size and their dominance to their advantage. Throughout the last week, though, I would say that Vinted have played a really good hand. Up until now, Vinted have been a site that has the ethics and the ethos of you just getting stuff in your house, not going out and sourcing stuff to sell, just selling stuff from your own wardrobe. The internet, YouTube, is full of stories of people who are on Vinted who've had their accounts suspended because Vinted feel that they are turning themselves into a business, and it's not just their own wardrobe from their own home that they're taking stuff from. And that sort of like goes against the ethos of what Vinted wanted. However, Vinted do understand that the secondhand clothing market is growing massively, so they had to do something as well. And because of what eBay did in terms of their announcement, okay, Vinted then saw a huge opportunity to bring in Vinted Pro. Okay, and Vinted Pro is like Vinted but for business sellers. So really, were Vinted just sitting back, just waiting for the right time, just thinking to themselves, right, we're just going to wait for it. We're growing. We're just going to wait for eBay now to make a move on this. We know that they're thinking of doing something. It's interesting, though, because from a few videos that I've watched, one especially, Nick and Andrea Hills, okay, have a look for them on YouTube. They're a they're a nice couple, but they've got their own shed like this. In fact, I'm jealous of his shed. It's much bigger than this one, and they just sell things out of their home and do YouTube videos along it. But he was saying that one of the big wigs from eBay was poached by Vinted, okay, and maybe Vinted then knew what eBay was going to do, developed their Vinted Pro, and were just waiting for eBay to make the announcement that they did. Okay, so if you look at it, Vinted, from the launch of Vinted Pro, I don't think they could have wished it to have gone any better in terms of the amount of exposure that they got from this launch of Vinted Pro. I would say most resellers are now aware of Vinted Pro. So they know what it is. They know what it means. They know that if they type Vinted Pro into Google, they're going to get Vinted's version of the business account. So really, in terms of a product launch, okay, it has gone very, very well for them. What I would say now, though, as I said, in the boxing match, we're at the end of round 2. Okay, what I would suggest now, especially for Vinted, is that they now concentrate on running and growing Vinted Pro well. Don't try and do too many bells and whistles now, because I have heard that there's been a couple of glitches with actually opening accounts for Vinted Pro. Okay, I think Vinted have got to go back now. They've got the exposure that they wanted, and now they've got to really concentrate on running this account and running it well alongside their original Vinted business. Don't discard that. Okay, the Vinted breadbasket has now got to cover both. Okay, the original Vinted and the Vinted Pro. You've got to give 50-50 in terms of your attention to both. Yeah, have a look at growing your brand, definitely, and putting the things in place to do that, but don't discard one or the other. Okay, try and do both together is my message to Vinted. In terms of the future for eBay, it's going to be interesting, as I said, over the next 12 months and beyond. Have eBay now accepted that they are one of a few? I think one of the criteria for being successful in business is knowing and respecting your opposition and knowing your place in the market. Don't over trump yourself. Okay, if eBay is still thinking, oh, we're the best, we're the biggest, we can take on anybody, I would say that's a mistake. Are eBay now actually thinking that they are the biggest? Yes, they are. In terms of account numbers, they are. But is the future of reselling platforms, are they accepting that they are now not just the sole provider of this, but they are one of a few choices, and they have to exist alongside other competition? And competition is good. Competition is healthy. That's what you need. So, are they accepting this, or are they thinking to themselves, we'll just blow them out the water with our dominance and our bigger powers that we actually have, our sheer size? Because if they're doing that, they become a bit complacent and a bit arrogant, then if Vinted begin to grow even more than what they have now, especially with their Vinted Pro announcement, as I said, could be interesting. But I feel that because eBay just want to grow their accounts, they are respectful to what Vinted have done, and they also accept that they are one of probably the biggest player, but one of the players now on a number of platforms that you can resell on. Those platforms being eBay, Vinted, I suppose Depop as well, and you've got Whatnot that have come in too. So yeah, interesting. I say interesting a lot, don't I? And that's because it is interesting. Just having a look back and just seeing and just basically making predictions about what you think is going to happen. You know, that's what everybody does. It's what people talk about. It's the catalyst for conversation. Another interesting thing, I've said it again, I've said interest. Another thing, okay, would be what happens after Christmas. eBay have said that they're going to waive their fees for business sellers up until Christmas. Well, what happens after Christmas? I know that eBay are having a look at Whatnot. Now, Whatnot is like, I suppose I could describe it as a QVC from home. It's like a home shopping channel. You can go online and you can sell your things. So I could say on Whatnot, I've got here a nice, there you go, there's a sleeve to a nice Joe Brown shirt. And I could show that Joe Brown shirt and say, look at this, you know, £8, £7, you know, and people would be logging on and buying. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be called eBay Live. And what happens with that and how they're going to do it, I don't know. But I think they do see that as the future. So again, there is evidence here that eBay are looking around, seeing what other companies are doing well and taking it on for themselves. So that is showing that eBay are respectful to the opposition and having a look at what they're doing. And if they're liking what they're doing and they can see potential in it, they're doing it. Maybe now they could be thinking that they missed a trick with Vinted. I think Vinted are now too big for eBay to buy out. I think if eBay were going to try and buy Vinted out, they should have done it a few years ago and used Vinted then as their going around the house and selling products sort of part of their business, and then really concentrating on eBay business sellers. So they're both owned by the same brand. People, not everybody's aware that they're both owned by the same brand, and they could have moved on doing that. But I believe now Vinted are now too big to do that, especially with the launch of Vinted Pro. All right, the potential that they have is so big. You know, if eBay came in with an offer, I think Vinted would just say, yeah, we'll treble that. You know, for us to even consider being bought out by you, for the potential that we have now from what we have done and from all the work that we've put in, I think eBay would see that, oh God, we're not paying that much for it. So I think both are going to exist together. And I know that I am certainly interested in having accounts on both platforms. So yeah, it's to actually just sit back and just have a look at what has been going on and what has been happening. And also the last video that I did, I mean, I've only just started doing YouTube. I've only been doing it for about the past 6 months. But the last video that I did has been on this subject. I did a video on, well, it's below, you can see it. But I did one about the private sellers' fees being wiped out by eBay. And the announcement that they made has been far and away my most successful video. So, you know, doing a follow-up to it, especially after what has just happened, you know, I'd be crazy not to, absolutely nuts not to. You know, this is something that everybody is doing and everybody is talking about, especially in the reselling world. Many people have got different opinions and different ways of looking at it, and this happens to be mine. Please comment. You know, tell me what you think, because I've really enjoyed looking at the comments, and maybe then I could do another video and, you know, we could have a look at the comments that people have been making. But it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to just have a little bit of a chat about this. Not too long, okay? Just nice little short, concise video between 10 and 20 minutes, just giving my thoughts on this whole situation. But really, it is a case of watch this space. And I think anybody who studies business, either business students, if you're doing business at school, doing business studies, GCSE or A-level, I think this example that you are seeing at the moment between two companies is a really, really good one to use for any sort of case study, especially because there's so much information in it and it's quite modern and up to date. Right. end of my waffling. I hope you've enjoyed my insights into this. Okay, for the time being, this is Smithy out. Thank you for watching. All right, appreciate it. Bye-bye.